This morning, Sunday morning, I decided to say goodbye to Abraham Joshua Heschel. I grew this beard and hair for about the last 8 or 9 months to play Abraham Joshua Heschel in a play by Colin Greer called Imagining Heschel. It was supposed to be done by Bunbury Theater in April, and of course it got canceled. So we got funding to actually film a shortened version of the play, which we completed at the beginning of the week. Um, and so I'm going to say goodbye to the hair and the beard. If you don't know Abraham Joshua Heschel, you might want to look him up. He is a very fascinating character. He was a Jewish rabbi who was very active in the civil rights in the 1960s. He marched with Martin Luther King in Selma, along with John Lewis. And he also had a meeting with the Pope around that time regarding Judeo-Christian relations. And anyway, I was very honored to be a part of the play, but now it is time to say goodbye to Abraham. But in doing so, I wanted to, I've been cutting my own hair for about 30 years now, ever since I was a student in New York in the 1980s, and I got charged $20 for a haircut when $20 was $20, especially to a poor student in New York City. So I started cutting my hair at the time, and I just sort of watched how they do it, and I've gotten better at it over the years. So I know in this time of COVID insanity, some people are not able to get to a barber, they're closed, or you're fearful of going, and there's nothing wrong with letting your hair grow. But for those of you who might want to try cutting your own hair, I thought I would give this little tutorial. Now, get a good pair of sharp scissors. Now, these scissors actually belong to Charlie's mom, who had a hairdressing salon in the basement of the house we used to live in. Charlie and I lived in for 27 years. These scissors are probably 40 or 50 years old, and since I've known Charlie, they've never been sharpened, but they still do a great job. So they're wonderful scissors made in Italy, and I'm going to use it to cut my hair. So what I do is basically pull my hair out to a certain length and just start cutting away. Now, I'm going to go fairly short, so I'm going to basically use the width of my fingers as a gauge. Now, I'd be very careful because I have cut my finger more than once by getting a little too close. So anyway, I'm just going to start cutting here. And now, I feel like I need to maybe tell jokes or something to pass the time while I'm doing this. But I've got a little bit of a joke and a story. It was funny because Heather started telling a story about when Charlie's daughter Heather, she auditioned for the producers, and she actually got to audition for Mel Brooks. And one of my favorite jokes that I used to tell a lot, and I love this joke because the butt of the joke was kind of a butt. So he gets his comeuppance in this joke. But anyway, Heather was talking about this audition she had with Mel Brooks, and for the Broadway production of The Producers, or maybe it was the tour. Anyway, she was auditioning and told Mel Brooks this joke. Well, she started telling me this story, I guess about a year ago, but she couldn't remember the joke that she had told. And she said, yeah, it was something about a guy and his wife cooking breakfast, and but she couldn't actually remember. And I said, Heather, yeah, I remember the joke. I was the one who told you that joke. It was so anyway. Here's the joke. So the mailman is doing his rounds, but he got a better job working at Amazon. No, that's a joke. So he got a better job. So he was quitting his mail route. And so he gets toward the end of his route. And this young married woman that he had known, he got to be friendly with over the years doing his route, answers the door. Very, very attractive young lady, and she's dressed in a very sheer negligee. He goes, wow, I mean, he'd seen her out gardening, never, saw her like this. So anyway, she invites him in, and she says, "Come here, I want to celebrate, your hard work as a postman working for, the government and the public. So come on in. I've made you breakfast." And he's thinking, well, this is kind of weird. I don't know why she had to put on a negligee to cook breakfast, but that's okay. So he goes in and she's laid out this, eggs Benedict and bacon and, just lovely, lovely breakfast, mimosa. So he drinks a couple mimosas and they're just having a lovely conversation over breakfast. And he says, "Oh, well, thanks. This was great, but, I know there's nothing they can do. They can't fire me, but I really do need to, get back and finish my route." So she says, "Wait a minute, come here and follow me." And she takes him by the hand, leads him into the bedroom where they have the most amazing lovemaking he has experienced since he was a teenager. And so, after he finishes his cigarette, this was years ago, he finishes his cigarette. He says, "Oh gosh, I really got to thank you, but I have to get the mail to people, and I know in the future sometime they may say, well, if you can't deliver mail, just bring it back to the post office, but we're still operating under the old principle, neither rain nor sleet nor whatever." So anyway, so he goes, "I really got to get going." So she says, "Wait, there's one more thing." She reaches over to the nightstand in her purse. She takes out $1, and I'm gonna clean up the language a little bit here. It works better when you actually use the fouler language, but I'll refrain. So anyway, she hands him $1, and he goes, "Lady," I say, "what's this?" I said, "You just made me this beautiful breakfast. You made love to me like I'd never dreamed was possible." She goes, "What's this?" He goes, "Well, it's my husband's idea." And he said, "What?" She goes, "I asked him what we should do for the mailman's last day, and he said, screw him, give him $1. But the breakfast was my idea." I love that joke. So anyway, I'm cutting hair to my length now. A couple times what I did is when I got to the back, I cut that at the same length, and what happened is I started looking like Alfalfa from the Little Rascals, and so I do kind of leave it a little bit longer on the top and on the back. But I know when hairdressers do it, they generally use a comb to get the desired length. But I never really could get that down. Like I said, I use my fingers, so there we go. Anyway, so just keep. Oh, and speaking of joke, and actually this is not a joke, but I don't know, it relates to Heather as well, but because it was funny, because she told me this story, and I said, wait a minute, and she was told the story as though it were a true story by the person who told her. And at the time I was working at a dinner theater, and I remember I had told this story that this friend of mine in Chicago had related to me, and he had related it to me as a true story. I have no reason to doubt Dennis that it was a true story, but I do know that the person who told Heather that who said it was a see, I just cut my finger. The Band-Aid's from something else. It wasn't from cutting my hair. So anyway, so Dennis, so he was in a store in Chicago, a grocery store, and there was a rather large woman in line right behind him, and apparently she had taken a ham and secreted it. I say secreted because that was, I used to read books at the Printing House for the Blind, the American Printing House for the Blind, and they insisted on certain pronunciations, and most people say secret when they're hiding something, when you secret, but they insisted it was secrete. So anyway, she had secreted, she'd hidden a ham, apparently between her legs, was trying to walk out of the store with it. And apparently the ham fell to the floor with a large thud. And without missing a beat, she just turned around and said, "Who threw that ham at me?" Anyway, so now when I get to the ears, what I kind of do is just cut around the ears, because otherwise it gets very scraggly. I have no idea how long this has been going on, this video. Hopefully it's not so long that, so, see, I'm trying to watch what I do. Now I'll try to get the back a little bit shorter, because I can tell that it's a little long. Again, I try to leave it a little bit longer toward the top of the back, but again, so I don't, those things, they used to be called cowlicks. I don't know if they call them that any longer, but cowlicks were, and I guess they were actually in fashion for a while. No explaining fashion, but apparently that was fashion. I've never been, as you can tell from what I'm wearing, that fashion is not too important to me. Oh, so anyway, this is a cremation urn that I got recently. Charlie loved sunflowers, and she loved the Tree of Life. And I actually only put it on for the filming of Heschel. I just wanted, something to kind of ground me. And so I'm putting the ashes on. I went outside, and we have several sets of wind chimes. One very large set that we bought, Heather and Jason and I. Jason's had this partner when Charlie died. I'm sitting there, and there's a little funnel that you use to fill the back of the urn. And sitting there pouring ashes into it, and I went outside because the light was much better out there, and it's so tiny, I thought it would be easier to see. And this gentle breeze came along, and there's probably 6 wind chimes. There were wind chimes from when Charlie's uncle died. There's some wind chimes from that Shakespeare gave me when Charlie died, that threw a pattern of rainbows on my bathroom window, which I'm going to post it sometime because it's really quite amazing. These rainbows that were dancing across the bathroom window here. And anyways, I'm sitting there starting to fill the ashes in. The large wind chimes with gentle breeze came up, and they sounded one single note. None of the others rang, made any noise at all. Just these large ones that we had bought at the local florist, Nance Florist, Charlie's favorite florist. Sounded one single note. So anyway, just another sign that Charlie's still with me in spirit. Anyway, so I just, I checked to, see how it's gone here, and just, it's looking pretty good. It's still a little long in the back on that side, and so keep cutting. Yeah, but I'm getting close to being done. Just and I think I brought a comb in here. Yes, I did. So, and trim around the ears again. Now the back, what I've learned, there's usually a little ducktail, I used to call it, a ducktail and a cowlick. No idea where those names came from, but they're related to animals. I can usually feel and kind of cut across, straight across the back on the bottom to get rid of the ducktail. Again, another fashion thing. I think that was from the, I think the cowlick was the 30s. I think the ducktail was the 50s. That along with crew cuts. Anyway, it's still, I can still see little places where it's a little bit long. So now it's just a matter of trying to get it somewhat even. This side looks a little bit longer. So try to I love making that little snippy sound. It sounds like I know what I'm doing. You know, sometimes I don't. But actually, that's not bad. There's the comb. I just had the comb and I lost it, so I'm gonna kind of comb it out. Some people I know wet their hair before they anyway, that's not bad. I will cut the video there. I mean, there's a little trimming I can do, you know, little, go back and you know, get the little loose hairs there, and I'll use my razor probably to trim the sides there, and yeah, I will probably, like I said, go back and do a little more trimming, but I won't bore my audience any further. I will leave it as that, and as you can see. And what I do is I have 2 mirrors in the other bathroom that I can check the back. I guess what I could do is just look at the video of this and see how well I did on the back. It feels pretty good. Anyway, there's my hair cutting video. I'm halfway there to saying goodbye to Abraham Joshua Heschel. I tend to talk with his accent. He was Eastern European. He escaped the Warsaw Ghetto and came to the United States. Fascinating man. But anyway, the beard is next. So here we go. Well, partly. Hope you enjoy.